What do you do when you want to rebrand your podcast? It is something that we get clients come to us asking. They want to change the name of their show. They feel like perhaps their artwork might be needing a bit of an update, and they're just not feeling aligned to how they were posting previously, what the podcast was about, all those sorts of things. They want to give it a real refresh. And they come and go, is this okay? Like, do I have to start a whole new show now? Or can I just change the name on the show that I have already? What's involved with this? And is it detrimental to keep it on the same show? The answer really is no, it's not detrimental. It depends on how far away from your original brand you're going to go. But if you just feel like you need to get a little bit of a rebrand, a little bit of a refresh happening, then it's so totally fine to update your actual podcast that you have existing with a new name and new podcast artwork to give it that bit of a refresh, but still maintain the subscribers that you have from your original show, because you don't really want to start all over again, especially if the message is kind of the same and you feel like it still will resonate with the people that were listening to your show before. You kind of just want to keep it there. So it is actually really easy to change the name of your show within your podcast hosting platform. So Buzzsprout, Blueberry, Captivate, Omni Studio, whoever you're with, Podbean. It's easy to go in there into like the settings area of any of those platforms and just change the name of the show. The RSS feed won't update to have a different title on it. Like when you see the actual URL type stuff, it won't have that new updated name on it, but that doesn't matter. It'll still index with the new name. It'll be updated across all the podcast platforms, and it's totally fine to just change the name on there. And then while you're at it, of course, you should do new podcast artwork as well. Again, very simple and easy for you to do from within the podcast host that you have. There should be the settings section again. You can update the artwork, and that artwork should reflect within, maybe about 3 to 4 hours. It could take up to 24 across all platforms, but it's something that you can certainly do. And why I'm deciding to chat about this today specifically is because we are actually doing a rebrand of one of our shows at the moment. We're not changing the title of it, and the show is Convos with Kiddos. It is a show that I started with my daughter, 3 years ago maybe, when she was in kindy, and I just loved it. It was a great show, but at the time the artwork was just me in Canva plopping something together and putting it up there. But I didn't have time to make it really fancy. I didn't have a designer working in-house at Bamby Media at the time. I just needed to get something done. Now we have 2 fantastic designers here at Bamby Media, one that is specializing in illustration and one that does more of the video stuff and more of the composition, layouts, all sorts of things. Both fantastic. And now I can actually use these wonderful people to help update the branding and the overall look and feel of Convos with Kiddos, the podcast. So I'm not changing the name, as I said, but am updating the artwork. And with that, when you update something like that, it's also a really good time to push it out again, to refresh it on your socials, to maybe think about, what are the colors I want to go with now? Has that changed? How do I want this to be represented? Do I need it to be on different social media platforms at this point? Because when you started, maybe you were on Instagram as your main place, or Facebook or something, depending on how old the show is. And now you really need to be somewhere fresh. And how you share on that new fresh platform may be different. So like TikTok, for example, is a very different medium to Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest. So you need to think about, with this new rebrand, with this new update, who do I want to push this to? Because it's the perfect time to do it. So with any rebrand, you've got to think about the social strategy around it and how you're going to update that. Including in a rebrand as well, you can also update, like it's a great time to update your intro music and your just voiceover that you say at the front. A lot of clients will start with their podcast, they'll start with a long intro. When I say long, I still cap it at like 35 to 40 seconds. But then once I've been going for a while, a couple of years in, even less than that, it might be like, okay, that intro feels way too long now. I'm pretty sure the people that are subscribing to my show understand who I am and the broader mission, and they can go to the trailer episode if they want to see more of that. So then you can update that intro to be really short, like mine is. Pump Up Your Pod is just, welcome to Pump Up Your Pod, la-di-da-di-da-da-da, and then boom, it starts. I don't tell you anything about who I am or what the show's about. I just get straight into it because you'll very quickly realize when you're here that I'm talking about podcasting. So it's a great time to update that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to change the actual theme music. Like if the theme music is part of your brand and that's not getting refreshed so much, then I wouldn't change the theme music. Like we just did a refresh for one of our clients last week, and I was toying with the idea of putting different music in there, and I did try a few, but it felt like wrong. Like it just felt wrong to change the music because it was so well established and it felt like something that was really aligned. But her voiceover, we shortened a whole bunch. So in my case for Convos with Kiddos, we are absolutely not updating the music because that is very specific to the podcast. The theme was written for the podcast. It is so cute and ridiculous and actually has Heidi singing on it. So it would be so silly to get rid of that. Even though we're rebranding, we're updating, we're refreshing, it would be silly to get rid of that theme music because it's so tied to the whole deal. If you're thinking of rebranding, then just go for it. But have your ducks in a row. Think about all the things that you are going to want to change within that brand. Is it just the artwork? Are your social snippets going to be updated? Do you want to change the name of your show? Do you want to update your theme music? Or do you want to just update the voiceovers? Maybe you want to get rid of the outro altogether. There's a bit to think about there when you are updating the actual brand of the show. And make sure that you give it the push that it deserves when you rebrand it as well. In my case, for Convos with Kiddos, I actually removed that show from Apple Podcasts and all those platforms after we hadn't posted in quite a while because I felt like maybe it was never going to come back because it was a time in life where the kids were small and that it was really cute and the stories were just related to that time. But in fact, the kind of things that they can share now is different because they are older and it's going to target a different audience, but also the audience that they had from a couple of years ago. They've all grown up, so they're kind of growing up together. So I will put it back onto Apple Podcasts. I will actually reshare all the old episodes and I will release them in that weekly fashion as well to get it all pushing through and going again. So a brand new show, but it's actually just a rebrand of an old show. If you're interested in listening to Convos with Kiddos, I will share a link in the show notes to it. It's so stupidly cute and ridiculous, targeted to children, but also from a parent or grown-up perspective. It's just really funny listening to kids talk about things that they have a very unique perspective on. It's kind of like that Instagram and TikTok channel, Recess Therapy, if you love that kind of content where it's just kids getting asked silly questions and then they have silly responses. That's kind of what Convos with Kiddos is about, and I just adore it. So go and check it out. Leave it a review if you would like to. I would love that, and Heidi would get a big kick out of it as well if it's something that you feel like you could be interested in. And if you love this show, please also write a review for Pump Up Your Pod. It's really important to me that people listen to this show. If you're interested in podcasting or if you have a podcast yourself, this is the tool. This is the place to come for easy, accessible information that I research, that I make sure is correct, and I share with you every week. And to get reviews and feedback on that would be absolutely beautiful and wonderful. So if you feel so inclined, please do so. The other reason why you may want to do that is, as I shared in my previous episode, I am giving away a pair of these lovely headphones that I'm wearing right now, Rode NTH 100s. They are fantastic headphones, and I'm giving them away 1 pair to a person that has reviewed the show. There are instructions on how to do that in the previous episode, so go and listen to that so that you get a feel for how to do that. And my last little thing to say is, and this is something that you should say in your show as well, make sure you just tell people to share your show just with one person. Word of mouth is the biggest spreader of podcasts, and you don't have to share and you don't have to tell a million people about it. But if you just share it with one person that you feel like will really benefit from this information, that is fantastic, and I would really appreciate it. That's it, guys. I hope you have a lovely week. If you need any more info, check the show description, go to bambymedia.com, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon. Bye.